Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we will be talking about how Kamala Harris has now taken the lead over Donald Trump in the Electoral College, presumably in this new New York Times Siena College poll. So in this poll, they polled 3 states, that being Michigan, where Kamala Harris leads by 4 points, 50 to 46. Pennsylvania, she again leads by 4, 50 to 46 again. And also Wisconsin, 50 to 46. Kamala Harris leads by 4. So she carries that Rust Belt part of the blue wall. So this is so important because, assuming this same poll has these, pretty reliably Democratic states that were looking pretty competitive when Biden was the nominee, but now are not, with Harris as the Democratic nominee. Assuming, that states like Minnesota, New Hampshire, Maine at large, Virginia, New Mexico. If those states, as well as Nebraska second, do go blue, which I'm sure they all will, and, this poll, of course, holds true, then Kamala Harris wins Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania in this poll. And what do you see? See that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz get 270 electoral votes. You need 270 to win. Donald Trump can have, they didn't poll Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina. Donald Trump can have all 4, but Kamala Harris still wins the election. So the point being, this New York Times poll shows that Kamala Harris wins the 2024 presidential election. And what a massive shift, just turnaround of a Democratic campaign that we have seen. Because when Joe Biden was the nominee, what really stands out to me about this New York Times poll is that when Biden was the nominee, these New York Times Siena College polls were probably the harshest on Joe Biden. They just diminished his chances. They said that he was, let's just take a look. I wish I had a list of all of the New York Times polls because they were so interesting. They were in line with the Republican sponsored polls with how bad Joe Biden was doing when it comes to the actual results of the polls. This poll was from right after the debate, right after the presidential debate where Biden imploded. We see that among likely voters, Donald Trump leads by 6%. 6%. This is the popular vote. This is the national popular vote. And among registered voters, Biden is down by 8. Now, Joe Biden won the popular vote in 2020 by 4.5%, and he pretty narrowly won the Electoral College when you look at the actual results of how close the states were. So, if, let's just look at the likely voters, not even the registered voters, but if Donald Trump is now doing 10.5%, that's 6 plus the 4.5, if Trump is now doing 10.5% better nationwide, then, of course, we would see Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, the closest states flip. That's one thing. But it gets a lot worse. You would see Michigan, Pennsylvania, with Nevada with pretty small margins for Biden. Those would easily flip. And then you come into territory where Minnesota, which voted for Biden by 7, that now might go to Trump. New Hampshire might go to Trump. That voted for Biden by 7. Maine might go to Trump. New Mexico could go to Trump. That's a toss-up. Virginia is a toss-up as well. New Jersey gets competitive. Nebraska second flips. So, these polls, I can't stress enough how these New York Times polls were just so harsh on Joe Biden. Whatever they did, I don't know who they polled, but it showed a very bleak outlook for the Joe Biden campaign. These polls were harsh on Joe Biden. So, also do want to bring up one more to, really give you a contrast with what we see here. In the last poll they did in Pennsylvania, Biden was down by 3. He was down by 3%, 45 for Biden, 48 for Donald Trump. He was down by 3. Now Harris is up by 4. So that's a 7-point swing in the state of Pennsylvania between when Joe Biden was the nominee and when Kamala Harris was the nominee. So, wow, what a turnaround we have seen. But just to see, Biden down by 6 points in the national popular vote, which he won by 4 last time around, 4.5 to be exact. And now Kamala Harris taking the lead in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, to see her winning the Electoral College and winning the presidential election according to this poll, that is just something that is, just so shocking to see. This is just, nobody could have expected how fast the Democrats could have turned this whole situation around, but they did do it. So again, Kamala Harris, she wins if this poll holds true. Wisconsin, that's a 4-point win. Pennsylvania is a 4-point win. Wisconsin's a 4-point win. I don't think, especially in Wisconsin, I doubt this holds up. Maybe the polls will hold up, but on election day when we look at the actual results, I doubt that she actually wins by 4. Polling always way overestimates the Democrats, across the nation, really, in the vast majority of states, but especially Wisconsin. The average of polls in 2020 was saying that Biden would win on election day. Biden would win Wisconsin by 8 percentage points. He ended up winning it by 0.6, so they overestimated him by more than 7%. So I absolutely understand. If you look at these numbers, Kamala Harris leading by 4, looking at how much the polls overestimated Biden in 2020 by 7 points in Wisconsin, I could absolutely, understand why you would think that Wisconsin would go to Trump by around 3%, or 2% if they overestimated him, if they overestimated Biden by 7 in 2020. But there's a lot of time until the election, and the major point is, this swing from when Biden was the Democratic nominee and he was losing Pennsylvania by 3 to now Harris as the nominee, where she's winning by 4. That is the main point here. Democrats now actually have a chance in this election, which they really didn't before. Nearing the end of, or after the debate, I should say, nearing the end of the Biden campaign, it really looked like he had, almost no chance. We were looking at like a 15% chance that he won. But now, polls are indicating that Kamala Harris wins. So yes, these margins are small, and typically, polls overestimate Democrats, especially across swing states. So yes, Donald Trump can, if the election were held tomorrow, maybe he would win every single one. But still, wow, that is such a trend, and if Kamala Harris can continue this trend, then she is on track for a pretty easy victory come November. So thank you all for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe down below. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers before Election Day. That is the goal. Again, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time.